Howdy folks, and welcome to the Hillbilly Kitchen. Today we're making a loaded bacon cheeseburger potato bake. This is a fairly simple casserole. It comes together pretty quick, and we're going to start it on the stove and brown up our hamburger, and then we're going to throw it in the oven and brown up our casserole. You basically need the stuff that you would have on a bacon cheeseburger and potatoes, because it is bacon cheeseburger potato. So I've got a pound of ground beef that I'm going to add to my hot skillet, and we're going to get that cooking. You do want to let your skillet get hot before you add your beef to it. It will brown better, it will cook better, it will have more flavor, and it won't stick. Now if you want to use some other ground meat in this, you certainly can, it will work, but I'm using ground beef. You need about a cup of bacon crumbles. You can make bacon and crumble it up, or you can use the real bacon pieces, the already cooked crumbles. And that's what I'm doing tonight, because I'm doing this quick. You can put a whole lot of effort in it, or you can put a little effort in it and get it on the table quick. For my potatoes, I'm using bagged hash browns. And they're the little chunked up ones, not the shredded ones. You could also use the shredded ones if you wanted to, but I think this recipe is a little bit better with the little chunked up ones. These cook really, really fast. If you're cooking them in a skillet, they'll cook in like 5 to 7 minutes. So we're only going to have to put this in the oven for 20-25 minutes just until it gets brown, which makes it a pretty quick dinner. I'm going to add some diced up pickles in mine. I'm using dill pickles. You could use some bread and butter or some kind of sweet pickle if you wanted something slightly sweeter. Of course, we need a couple cups of shredded cheese. Any cheese will work. I bought one of them great big 5-pound bags of a cheddar jack blend because it goes good in a lot of things, and it was cheaper that way. And you need an onion, or at least I'm using an onion. I'm going to go ahead and add that to my beef. And you need some mustard and some ketchup. Not two mustards, just one. You can use brown mustard if you want some kind of spicy mustard. You could also use some kind of hot sauce or even salsa, or just plain old tomato sauce if you didn't want to use the ketchup. But the ketchup has a lot of flavor in it. It's got a little bit of vinegar in it, a little bit of sugar in it, and it's going to add kind of the right flavor to this casserole. So, you know, you kind of decide there. You can spice this up if you want to. I'm also going to put a little garlic powder and a little salt and pepper. And I want some Worcestershire sauce in my hamburger, because that's how I season my hamburgers if I'm cooking them. I always put a little bit of Worcestershire sauce in them. So season your meat however you season it if you're making hamburgers, because that's kind of what we're doing here. If you've got fresh garlic, you can certainly put some fresh garlic in here. I'm just using a little garlic powder. And if you want more, you use more. If I use a lot of garlic though, I think the flavor overpowers what I'm cooking, and it seems like that's the only flavor that I taste. So I don't like to use a whole lot of it. And also, it really gives me cotton mouth. I don't know if it does that to everybody, but it does it to me. And I'm probably going to add a little bit more pepper when I put my potatoes in here too, because I like black pepper. If you let your meat kind of just like mash it out a little bit and let it cook until it gets like a really nice sear on it, it will add a lot of flavor to casseroles like this, or even to spaghetti and dishes like that. So let it kind of sear and cook a little bit before you totally bust it up. Now, because I have these bacon pieces, I'm going to go ahead and add them in here. My hamburger is about half cooked, and I'm going to let the flavor of these bacon pieces kind of get in with my ground beef. And it's going to smell really good too. Okay, my ground beef is pretty well done now, and my onions are starting to cook. They're fairly soft. Now, if you want to adjust the grease in this, you can. The grease adds flavor, it also adds calories, and it fills you up. Now, you don't want to take all the grease out of here, because you got to have a little something to coat your taters with to fry them. So you want at least, I don't know, maybe a bare minimum of 2 tablespoons of grease in here. So we're gonna see how much we've got. I mean, like, that would be the bare minimum, would be a couple of tablespoons. I saw somebody doing this the other day and I thought that is so cool. I have to share it with y'all. I normally adjust the grease in my ground beef when I'm making a casserole or something with paper towels because I don't want to risk spilling it in the sink. I have spilled dinner in the sink way too many times when the kids were little and I was in a hurry. But paper towels are incredibly expensive, and I know a lot of people don't like to use them because they're bleached. You know, the process of making them, they're bleached, and they just don't want to use them. But I saw somebody using a turkey baster. It's very easy. You just squeeze the bulb and put it in there and let it suck up whatever amount of grease you don't want. And it keeps you from spilling it in the sink. But you can see there how easy that is. And then if you've got a cup or something nearby. Anyway, that's a really cool new trick, and it's certainly cheaper than using paper towels. It's more environmentally friendly, and it's healthier. Okay, now I'm going to add in my potatoes, and I'm going to stir them up. And you can certainly use, you know, fresh potatoes for this if you want to. You might have to pre-cook them a little bit. You could like parboil them for a minute or even stick them in the microwave for a minute. And I want to stir them in before I add anything else because I want to get them coated in the grease that we didn't drain. And I was also going to add just a little bit more salt and pepper to them, and I didn't do that, but I will. I try not to add too much salt and stuff like this when I'm cooking it because folks can always add more on the table. And if you get too much in it, you have ruined it. So don't worry about getting enough salt in it when you're cooking it. People can add more. And this would be a good dish to serve with some hot sauces or some spices on the table. All right, my potatoes are pretty well coated. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my heat off because when I start adding this other stuff, I don't want it to burn in the bottom of my skillet, which is of course already hot. Now, if you want to, you can bake this in a 9x13, like grease your 9x13, and then once you get the meat cooked, you would just mix everything up and then put it in your 9x13. But at this point, you can go ahead and dump your pickles in there. And if you really don't like pickles, don't put pickles in it. And you want about 1/4 cup of mustard and about 1/2 cup of ketchup. And I'm not going to measure it. That looks good. And that looks pretty good. You can serve it with more ketchup or mustard or mayo or whatever else you want. And I'm going to put most of this cheese in here, maybe about 1.5 cups. Or not quite, 1.25 cups. And then I'm going to leave the rest of it to go on top. So we've got lots of brown cheese on the top. And then stir this up carefully because it makes a pan full. I think stirring that up was about the hardest part of making this. Now we just kind of want to spread it out a little bit. Don't like mash it down and make it totally smooth because it is kind of a chunky dish. But you won't want like it scooped all up out of one side. And it did take just a minute to get that all stirred in there and everything distributed and the cheese all mixed in there good. And I gotta tell y'all, this smells good and it ain't even been in the oven yet. And now I'm just gonna take the rest of my cheese and spread it over the top, 350 degrees, until it's hot and bubbly. And it'll take about 20 minutes. Everything is pretty hot already. I mean, of course the pickles and the ketchup and the mustard weren't. But I got the potatoes pretty warm before I turned the stove off. And of course the meat and the onions and everything were really hot. Anyways, into the oven, 350 degrees, about 20 minutes or so. You'll know when it's done. Everything's cooked, so it's done, but you want it bubbling and brown on top. Our casserole has been in our 350 degree oven for about 25 minutes now, and I think it's done. Oh my goodness, I wish y'all could smell this. It's sizzling, it's golden brown. It smells just unreal. The onions, the pickles, the bacon, you can smell all that in it. And that sizzle is wonderful. Now, you do want to let this cool maybe 5 to 10 minutes before you take it out, just to kind of give it a chance for everything to set up a little bit and solidify. And while it's in there baking, you might want to get together a few hamburger fixings to serve with it. Of course, lettuce, tomato, maybe some pickle spears, and you could dice the tomato and shred the lettuce. You could dice up an onion, serve it with, any kind of hot sauce or spices or anything like that. But you want to have basic hamburger condiments, ketchup, mustard, and I've seen a lot of people drizzle a little more ketchup and mustard on the top of the casserole to decorate it. I don't see the point in that. Just let folks add their own. But maybe some spicy brown mustard. And we are in the South. If I served anything hamburger to Alex without tomato and mayonnaise, she would hand it back to me. But then again, we're in the South. Jim won't touch tomato or mayonnaise. But now he would definitely want the pickle spear, and he would want the spicy mustard and some stuff like that. So just set that stuff out and let folks kind of dress it up how they want to. And while we're giving this just a minute to cool down, I want to share Galatians 3:28 with you. There is neither Jew nor Greek, there is neither bond nor free, there is neither male nor female, for ye are all one in Christ Jesus. There is this huge effort to divide us going on, not just in this country, but it seems like worldwide. If we take that verse and we put it into modern times, we can say it does not matter if we are, I'm going to get less specific. It does not matter what political party you are associated with. It does not even matter what nationality we are. It does not matter what church denomination we sit in. Try to say this in English, not hillbilly. The denomination on the door of the church where you go to worship does not determine if you are one in Christ. Like I said, man, woman, nationality, skin color, political affiliation, national affiliation, church affiliation, none of that stuff matters. If we are saved by grace through our faith in Jesus Christ and His sacrifice on the cross, then we are one in Christ Jesus. We are brothers and sisters through Jesus Christ. And we need to stop letting the powers that be, politicians, the media, even social media, from dividing us. Now, I'm not saying there are not political issues that don't matter, but the stuff that's being used to divide us is not greater than what bonds us. We need to start acting like brothers and sisters in Christ, and we need to stop acting like each other's enemies because somebody told us we should. Start listening to God. Start studying His words. Listen to Jesus' words and love one another as Christ loved you. Act like brothers and sisters. And please, please, please ignore the media, because what they are pushing, very little of it is fact, especially those things that are intended to divide us. What we have in common is far greater than any of our differences. Let's see what this looks like. It's not, I don't know, it's probably not quite solidified yet, but I bet we can scoop some out here. It even sounds good when I cut through it. Oh yeah, look at the cheese stringing. Ugh. Oh my goodness. There's cheese stringing down everywhere here. Look at that. And you can see the pickles in there and the potatoes and the ground beef. It's pretty, it's hearty, it's gonna fill them up, it's loaded with flavor, and like I said, serve it with basic condiments, basic fixings. You can get this one on the table. I mean, it takes about 15 minutes or so to brown your ground beef, and maybe it'd take you 20 minutes to get in the oven and 25 minutes in the oven. You can definitely make this on a weeknight, 20 minutes effort, and then it's ready to serve. It's way cheaper than fast food, way better for you than fast food, and way better than fast food. Give this a try. You're probably going to want to put this in the rotation once you try it and have it on a regular basis. Thank you so very much for joining us, the Hillbilly Kitchen. Thank you for being a part of our family. If you have not already, please don't forget to click like and subscribe before you leave. And until next time, remember to put God first.